Imagine waking up tomorrow morning feeling completely normal. You brush your teeth, make your favorite breakfast, and sit down for the first bite. You chew carefully, swallow confidently, but something is terribly wrong. The food doesn't land in your stomach because your stomach no longer exists. No pain, no blood. It has simply vanished overnight. At first, you might think, maybe I can still survive. After all, food still goes down. But within hours, your body begins struggling in ways you never imagined. Hunger feels different. Eating becomes exhausting. Every meal turns into a dangerous balancing act. Your energy starts crashing. Your muscles weaken. Your brain struggles to focus. Essential vitamins quietly disappear from your bloodstream. Even something as simple as drinking a glass of water becomes surprisingly complicated. So here's the question that sounds impossible. Can a human actually survive without a stomach? It feels like the answer should be an obvious no. After all, the stomach is one of the most recognizable organs in the human body. Every biology textbook teaches us that digestion begins there. Every cartoon points to the stomach whenever someone is hungry. It seems so essential that living without it sounds like pure science fiction. But what if everything you thought you knew was only part of the story? Today, we're uncovering one of the strangest truths in human biology. We'll discover what your stomach really does, what happens the instant it's removed, how doctors reconnect your digestive system, why people without a stomach must completely relearn how to eat, and whether it's actually possible to live a long, healthy life without this remarkable organ. The answers are fascinating, and they may completely change the way you think about your own body. Before we dive deeper, take a second to look at your own stomach. Not from the outside, but imagine it hidden beneath your ribs. Most people never think about it until it hurts. Yet every single day, it performs one of the most extraordinary chemical processes inside the human body. The average adult stomach can comfortably hold around 1 to 1.5 liters of food and liquid, but that's only one small part of its job. Think of it less as a storage bag and more as an incredibly sophisticated biological processing plant. The moment food arrives, powerful muscles begin squeezing it over and over again. Imagine a washing machine constantly tumbling clothes, but instead of cleaning fabric, it's crushing food into a smooth mixture called chyme. At the same time, millions of microscopic glands release hydrochloric acid. This acid is so powerful that if you spilled it on many materials outside the body, it would cause serious damage. Inside your stomach, however, a thick protective mucus coating prevents the acid from digesting the stomach itself. Without that protective layer, your stomach would literally begin digesting its own walls. But acid isn't working alone. Special cells release digestive enzymes, especially one called pepsin. This enzyme starts breaking apart proteins found in meat, eggs, dairy products, beans, and countless other foods. Think of proteins as incredibly long chains made of tiny building blocks. Pepsin acts like molecular scissors, cutting those chains into much smaller pieces so the intestines can finish the job later. The stomach also performs another critical task that almost nobody talks about. It produces a protein called intrinsic factor. This tiny substance is absolutely essential for absorbing vitamin B12, one of the nutrients your body needs to produce healthy red blood cells and maintain a functioning nervous system. Without intrinsic factor, you can eat foods rich in B12 every day and still become dangerously deficient. Your stomach even serves as a security checkpoint. The highly acidic environment destroys many harmful bacteria and microorganisms before they ever reach your intestines. Every meal you eat may contain tiny numbers of unwanted microbes, but your stomach acts as the body's first line of defense. Considering all these responsibilities, it sounds impossible to imagine living without this organ. Yet thousands of people around the world do exactly that. Why would anyone ever have their stomach removed? The most common reason is stomach cancer. If cancer spreads through the stomach lining, surgeons may perform a procedure called a total gastrectomy, where the entire stomach is removed to save the patient's life. Sometimes severe genetic conditions dramatically increase the risk of stomach cancer, making preventive surgery the safest option even before cancer develops. In rarer situations, catastrophic injuries, uncontrollable bleeding, or certain life-threatening diseases may also require complete stomach removal. Although losing the stomach sounds unimaginable, modern surgery has made what once seemed impossible surprisingly achievable. But how? The answer lies in one of the most impressive surgical reconstructions ever developed. Normally, food follows a simple path: mouth, esophagus, stomach, small intestine. Without a stomach, that pathway is interrupted. Surgeons reconnect the lower end of the esophagus directly to the small intestine, usually the jejunum, creating a completely new digestive route. Instead of entering a storage chamber, food now travels almost immediately into the intestine. Imagine replacing a large reservoir with a narrow pipeline. Everything changes. Meals that were once comfortable suddenly become overwhelming. The intestine was never designed to receive large amounts of food all at once. Without the stomach acting as a buffer, food rushes into the intestine much faster than normal. This creates one of the biggest challenges after surgery: dumping syndrome. Despite the funny name, dumping syndrome can be extremely unpleasant. Picture pouring an entire bucket of water into a tiny funnel. The system becomes overloaded instantly. Similarly, when food enters the intestine too quickly, water rapidly shifts into the intestine to dilute the concentrated meal. This sudden movement of fluid can trigger nausea, abdominal cramps, bloating, diarrhea, dizziness, rapid heartbeat, sweating, weakness, and sometimes even fainting shortly after eating. Some patients experience a second wave of symptoms 1 to 3 hours later. Here's why. Fast-moving carbohydrates enter the bloodstream almost immediately, causing blood sugar to spike. In response, the body releases a large amount of insulin. Sometimes that insulin works too well, driving blood sugar dangerously low. The result can be shakiness, confusion, hunger, blurred vision, fatigue, and cold sweats. Suddenly, eating becomes something to plan carefully instead of something enjoyable. Large meals disappear forever. Instead of breakfast, lunch, and dinner, many people eat 6, 8, or even 10 small meals every day. Every bite must be taken slowly. Food has to be chewed thoroughly because there's no stomach left to mechanically break it apart. Drinking liquids during meals may also become difficult. Many patients are advised to drink between meals instead of during them, reducing the speed at which food passes into the intestine. But surprisingly, the human body is incredibly adaptable. Within months, the small intestine begins adjusting to its new responsibilities. It becomes better at handling incoming food. Symptoms often improve significantly as the digestive system learns its new routine. However, one major problem remains. Remember intrinsic factor? Without a stomach, your body stops producing it almost entirely. That means vitamin B12 can no longer be absorbed efficiently through food alone. Over time, B12 deficiency may lead to anemia, numbness in the hands and feet, memory problems, balance issues, fatigue, and permanent nerve damage if left untreated. Fortunately, modern medicine has a simple solution. Most patients receive lifelong vitamin B12 injections or specially prescribed supplements that bypass the normal absorption pathway. Doctors also closely monitor iron, calcium, vitamin D, and folate because absorbing these nutrients can become more difficult after stomach removal. Nutrition suddenly becomes a lifelong science experiment. Every meal matters. Every blood test matters. Every supplement matters. But here's something truly incredible. Despite all these challenges, many people eventually return to work, raise families, travel the world, exercise, and enjoy long, fulfilling lives. In fact, if you met someone who had their stomach removed years ago, there's a good chance you would never even realize it. Their digestive system isn't identical to yours. Their eating habits are different. Their nutrition requires careful planning. But they're alive, they're active, and many feel surprisingly healthy. This remarkable ability highlights one of the greatest strengths of the human body: adaptation. Evolution has built extraordinary backup systems into our biology. While no organ is truly replaceable, some organs are more flexible than we imagine. The stomach, it turns out, is one of them. Now let's explore an interesting thought experiment. What if your stomach simply disappeared without surgery? Unlike carefully planned medical procedures, your body wouldn't have a reconstructed digestive tract connecting the esophagus to the intestine. Food would have nowhere to go. The digestive system would be physically interrupted. You wouldn't be able to swallow food normally. Nutrients couldn't reach the intestines. Within days, severe dehydration and starvation would become life-threatening unless emergency surgery restored the digestive pathway. So when scientists say people can survive without a stomach, they don't mean the body magically functions after the organ vanishes. They mean skilled surgeons can redesign the digestive system so life continues despite losing the stomach itself. That's an important distinction. Medicine doesn't ignore biology. It works around it. The story becomes even more fascinating when we compare the stomach to other organs. You can survive with only one kidney. You can survive with part of your liver because it regenerates. You can survive without your gallbladder. You can even live with large portions of your intestines removed under certain conditions. The human body constantly reminds us that survival isn't about having every organ intact. It's about maintaining the essential functions those organs provide. Sometimes another organ can partially take over. Sometimes medicine fills the gap. Sometimes lifestyle changes become the replacement. In the case of the stomach, all three happen simultaneously. The intestine adapts. Medical treatment replaces lost nutrients. Patients transform their eating habits. Together, these changes create an entirely new version of normal life. And perhaps that's the most inspiring lesson hidden inside this story. When we think about survival, we often imagine strength as being about power. In reality, biology teaches a different lesson. Survival belongs to systems that can adapt. The human body is less like a rigid machine and more like an incredibly flexible ecosystem. Remove one piece, and the others begin reorganizing themselves in astonishing ways. It's not perfect. It's not easy, but it's often enough. So, can you survive without a stomach? The answer is both surprising and deeply fascinating. Without immediate medical intervention, absolutely not. But with modern surgery, lifelong nutritional care, regular medical monitoring, and significant lifestyle adjustments, the answer becomes an incredible yes. Thousands of people across the world are living proof. They eat differently. They digest differently. They absorb nutrients differently. Yet they continue living full, meaningful lives. Raising children, pursuing careers, celebrating birthdays, traveling, laughing, and creating memories just like everyone else. The stomach may be an extraordinary organ, but it isn't the final definition of life. Instead, this story reveals something even more extraordinary: the resilience of the human body. Every heartbeat, every cell, every organ works together in an intricate partnership. And when one partner is lost, the others fight tirelessly to keep the whole system alive. Perhaps that's the greatest miracle hidden inside us. Not that every organ is perfect, but that our bodies never stop trying to adapt, heal, and survive. The next time you sit down to enjoy a simple meal, remember the incredible journey every bite takes. Hidden beneath your ribs is an organ working silently every second, performing chemistry so advanced that even our greatest laboratories struggle to match its efficiency. And now you know something that most people never realize. You don't just have a stomach. You have one of nature's most remarkable survival machines.